Okay, let's say you come home from work early and you catch your boyfriend in bed with your best friend. Are you triggered? Yeah. Guess what? All of your triggers are occurring due to karma. Karma is showing her beautiful face. Greetings. Welcome to Black Fire Nation. Today, we will be talking about the cause and effect of emotional triggers, and I'm also going to throw in how it relates to karma. So, let's paint a picture, okay? Now, this story may or may not be related to real life events, but let's say that you break up with a guy, right? And the guy realizes maybe a couple of weeks later, that he left something at your house. He wants it back. So he wants to come over and get it. Fine. When he gets there, you all spark off just, a friendly conversation about what you all have been up to for the past couple of weeks since you broke up. And he starts talking about how he went on a date with someone. And at first, you try to stay calm. You blow it off. You whatever. But he just keeps talking about this date, and he starts to go into detail about this date, and he talks about, where they went, and he talks about how they went shopping afterwards, and he talks about how she invited him back to her house. And let's say that at this point you get triggered, right? So you start to get mad, you start to flip out, you start to yell, you start to curse. These are signs of being triggered. These are obvious signs of being triggered. So you raise your voice, you use foul language, you might even start banging on stuff. You probably tell him to get out of your house, whatever. But let's talk about what actually occurred during this situation, okay? First of all, what really caused this trigger? Well, let me ask you, what do you think really caused the trigger? Was it really him and what he was saying? Or was it really her insecurity? Her insecurity, her fears, and her doubts, okay? Because at the end of the day, you broke up. This is not your man, right? Now, some people might even say, well, he was doing that on purpose. He was doing that to trigger her on purpose, or to just try to purposely get under her skin. And you want to know what? You might be actually right about that. But what does that have to do with her maintaining her self-control? Because if someone manages to get under your skin or spark an emotion, then that emotion uprises to let you know that there's some type of insecurity, some type of fear, some type of doubt. Okay? It's like an alarm going off. So it may appear that he is the cause of it, but really he is just a manifested image of the internal cause, not the cause itself. We are the cause, we are the effect. That's a part of the Black Fire Nation mission statement. Okay? But let's examine this scenario just a little bit further, shall we? Let's talk about him responding to that. So if he responds to her yelling and cursing and whatever, now what he's doing is he's mirroring her. Now that means that he also has some fears and some doubts and some insecurities. Okay, when you take on someone else's emotions and you mirror it back, that is called resonance. Now someone actually asked me to break down the word resonance for word magic. So here we go. My word magic videos. Resonate simply means to resound. So it means to sound again. In other words, it is an echo, or it is a mimic of a vibration. But in order to mimic a vibration, you must be able to relate to the original vibration. Okay? So in other words, there's no way for you to be upset or triggered about anything unless it is about you internally, because you are just mirroring them, which means that you relate to something that they're saying. Okay, let's use another example. Okay, let's go a little bit deeper into this. We're going to go into things that run in the blood, because we're talking about karma. Not to say that that doesn't run in the blood, but I want to talk about parenting. So let's say that, you have an issue with a parent about something that they did or didn't do when you were younger. And every time you bring up this issue to your parents, so you bring up their attention, I'm sorry, they blow it off and they act like it's not a big deal. And they kind of act like, you should just get over it. That was years ago. You should get over it. This is pissing you off, okay? Because what you really want, you want them to acknowledge whatever it is they did or didn't do. You want them to admit that they've been a horrible parent, but they don't. Now, are you pissed because you want them to acknowledge it, or are you pissed because you don't know how to let go? Because the truth of the matter is that you don't have any control over things and people outside of you. What you have control over is you. But it's so easy to try to control things and people that are outside of you, because self-control requires mastery of self, which is very difficult. Now let's flip this around, okay? Let's say that the parent gets angry every time the child brings the same scenario up, and the parent starts cursing and yelling and throwing stuff around and banging on stuff. So is the parent really angry at the child, or is the parent actually dealing with their own shame or guilt or something that they're holding on to that they haven't let go? So you see, both parties are really upset about their own internal ability to resolve their own issues. Okay, so what they're doing is they're taking it out on the other party, and they're triggering each other back and forth. So, what is the solution for this? Someone has to decide to let go. Forgiveness of others, and especially forgiveness of yourself, is always going to be the answer. Okay, you will continue to have these emotional triggers because you have not had the courage to let go of something that is holding you hostage, something that is holding you in bondage. So how do you let go? Well, I will say this. You may have to fight a battle more than once to win the war. What is really happening is that unresolved karma is surfacing. That's why you have to keep dealing with it, because you never resolved it somewhere along the line. So consider that karma can either be an unpaid debt or it can surface as a credit. Okay, it's not all bad. The system of karma is our true justice system. That's the reason why the word cause, relative to cause and effect, or as above, so below, really means a judicial process or lawsuit. Okay? So these emotional triggers, they arise because something needs to be corrected. Something needs to be balanced. And the universe is doing such a wonderful job at being the accountant that she is. She is giving you back what you put out in some form or fashion, either in this life or in a past life. So ultimately, what's happening is you're going to wind up forgiving yourself because it came back around to you, right? What goes around comes around, right? Remember I talked about this, or I talked about the law of zero, or the law of the circle, which is the law of karma. I talked about that in the video called God is a Woman, which I'll put the link in the description box. Make sure you check that video out. But in the meantime, as far as forgiving yourself, what can you do? You can write yourself a forgiveness letter. Okay. Even if you have to write it 10 different times, you may have to write 10 different letters in 10 different ways, whatever. Just keep doing it. Okay. Until it really sinks in. In fact, that's something I think I'm going to go work on right now. Have a great day. Peace.